Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for choosing Across the Fence. I'm Will Michael, and this afternoon for Fran Stoddard. Today we're spotlighting the scams and scammers that take your money. The best way to avoid getting ripped off is to educate yourself. And if you do have questions or are concerned you've been scammed, contact the Vermont Attorney General's Consumer Assistance Program. To begin, here's the story of one Vermonter who wondered whether an apartment rental sounded too good to be true.
My name is Madison Braz. I'm a graduate research assistant with the Vermont Attorney General's Consumer Assistance Program, and I wanted to share my story that occurred about 2 years ago. I was searching for an apartment in the Burlington area, and one of the places a lot of folks go is Craigslist, which is
makes sense,
an online classified ad for apartments and other items. I found what I thought was, a great deal. It was a lakefront property. The cost was amazing. So I immediately emailed the landlord and said, call me right away. I'm very interested. Shortly thereafter, I got a text message from the supposed landlord who I had contacted. They said, I'm away on business in Florida. Really love to give you the apartment. Can you send me the deposit as soon as possible? And this seemed a little too easy, sort of too good to be true for me. So
light bells went off. There was something about this particular situation. Please continue, and yet not everyone gets that same sort of sixth sense that you might have had.
Yeah, sure. So, in my previous experiences getting an apartment, I would typically meet the landlord. I would tour the apartment. I would be able to look at the lease before I put down a deposit. And in this case, I was just being asked to put down a deposit right away. So when those alarm bells went off, I asked a friend, does this seem weird? Does this seem a bit off? And they immediately said, that's a scam. So, in this experience that I had, if I hadn't talked to my friend, I might have been out a lot of money.
So in this particular case, you ended up okay.
Yeah.
You now have a tale of caution to tell other people, and that includes a lot of the stories that we hear that come through the Consumer Assistance Program often have to do either with the telephone or the internet. And we're aware right now that real estate renting and buying properties are so hot that people are seeing them sight unseen. So the environment is ripe for this kind of thing to happen. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. So in my experience at the Consumer Assistance Program, we hear from folks every day who are encountering scams online, scams on the phone, and we do our best to provide education to folks so they can be more informed in the future and spot scams.
And one of the things you pointed out before we sat down was you said to me, I really wanted to emphasize intervention. You had a relation, you were able to talk to somebody. And I think that's one of the things you said was important, an intervention. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Sure. So in my story, the intervention for me was just talking to someone who cares about me. For Vermonters, this could look like calling a friend, calling a relative. It can also mean calling the Consumer Assistance Program, which was unfortunately something I didn't know about at the time, but now I'm really glad that we have this resource for Vermonters.
Can you talked about an intervention. Other tips that you can provide to other people?
Sure. So the number one thing you can do is just take it slow. Scammers are very good at asking you to act quickly. You have to get this deal right now. Send me the money right away. And it's okay to take a step back, slow down, talk to someone, or call CAP.
As one of the principles of the Consumer Assistance Program is, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Correct.
You also talked about seeing and reviewing, and I go back to my reference to online. Oh, look at these pictures. And I think that one of the things you've said as a recommendation is physically go see. If there's a roadblock, you need to be asking questions.
Yeah, so especially with online apartment listings, it's important to go to a showing in person, meet the landlord, speak to the landlord, and above all, don't put down a deposit unless you've looked at the lease, reviewed it, and signed it with the landlord.
And if money is to change hands, is there a safer way? I suspect handing somebody an envelope of cash is not the way to go.
No, not ideal. So never send money or checks in the mail. Don't pay for a new apartment using an app like Venmo or Cash App, that sort of thing. Don't send a wire transfer, bank transfer, anything like that.
And Madison, one of the last thoughts I have is that I believe that when these bad things do happen to people, good people, we tend to be embarrassed and we don't want to speak about it. Yeah. And it's going to happen to somebody else, and so there's a way to contact consumer assistance. What's the best way to do it? And even if I'm not sure if it's a scam, I'm probably better off calling and asking your office for some help.
Yes, exactly. So we're here to help. We talk to folks all the time who have been just about to fall for a scam, or unfortunately maybe they've lost money, and there's no reason to be embarrassed about what may have happened or the interaction that you had. The important part is that you call CAP and talk to us about it to learn more and intervene in that situation.
And our thanks to Madison for sharing her story. Now, of course, rental and real estate are not the only scams out there, and so to learn more about other ripoffs and ways you can protect yourself, we're joined now by Lisa Jensen. Lisa is the Assistant Director of the Vermont Consumer Assistance Program. Good afternoon, Lisa. Thanks for being with us.
Good afternoon, Will. Thank you for having me.
Now, the Consumer Assistance Program, also known as CAP, we may use that for the remainder of the program. You receive calls every day. You're helping Vermonters identify scams all the time. Can you tell us more about some of the most common scams?
Absolutely. Recently, we've seen an uptick in scams we call imposter scams. So somebody receiving a phone call claiming that they're somebody's grandchild and is in trouble and needs cash immediately is one. We also have seen an uptick in calls around people's social security numbers, phishing for personal information. Free money sweepstakes is another top one in our top 5, and also what we call computer text scams. That's when you get that pop-up on your computer that says that you may have a virus.
So one of the things, the common theme that I'm hearing is, again, access to the telephone, access through the internet, especially social security numbers. What's the cardinal rule, Lisa, when it comes to our social security number?
Absolutely do not give out your social security number or any personal identifying information. As Maddie said, the red flag, these scammers are good. So the red flag is if somebody on the end of the telephone or through an email is asking for personal information, slow down, call CAP, call someone who cares, and let us help you sort out if this is a scam or not.
And on these imposter pieces, again, these people are very, very good. They tend to know something, whether it's the name of your pet dog or your sister's name or the other grandchildren. Somebody on the telephone with information, call, verify. What's the best defense against the imposter scams?
The best defense is if it is someone claiming to be a friend or a relative or even somebody's boss, that they need to hang up and call that person directly or another family member or friend who cares. And again, if they can't reach anyone, please call CAP, and we can help the consumer sort out if this is a scam or not.
Now, Lisa, the pandemic means that there are more people at home, more people online, more people on the telephone. What specific COVID-19 scams are out there? What should we be aware of?
Interestingly enough, CAP has not received reports, very, very few, scams related to COVID-19. My assumption on the uptick in the computer tech scams is that the scammers realize most of us are at home and online, and so that is, there's more opportunity for the scam artists with that scam.
I want you to detail for us a little bit. There's a 3-decade or longer history of the CAP program. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Sure, I'd love to. So nearly 40 years ago, UVM and the Attorney General's office developed a partnership to provide the service to Vermonters through service learning at the University of Vermont. So CAP is in the Community Development and Applied Economics Department at UVM and provides service learning opportunity through a class called Consumer Law in Action. And as part of the team, students have a service learning opportunity to answer the consumer hotline and help us facilitate consumer complaint mediation process.
Fascinating, really, the idea that we have a service that protects consumers, but we're also using it as an education for undergraduates at the university. Are these mostly pre-law students that you have?
So the students come from a variety of majors within the CDAE department. We have students that come from, they're majoring in public communications, community international development, consumer affairs. We also have students that come from other majors, political science. We just said goodbye to one of our part-time staff, a former student who is on her way to law school this week.
Now, in addition to scams, there are other pieces. In about a minute left, why should Vermonters call the consumer hotline?
Great question. Thank you for asking. We really invite Vermonters to call us if they have questions or an unresolved complaint that involves auto repair, maybe an auto purchase, credit reports. There's lots to know about our credit, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, questions around debt collection, identity theft, home improvement questions, purchases through retail or online, landlord tenant. So the list goes on, Will, and what I really want to emphasize is that Vermonters, if they don't know where to go, please call CAP. If we're not the right agency, we will make sure that we get them to the right agency.
Lisa, thank you. Our director, John Walker, has put that information on the screen. The one number you want to know as a Vermonter is 800-649-2424. Make a note, 649-2424. That's the Consumer Assistance Program hotline. You can also find more information at the website that's listed at the bottom of your screen. Lisa, we're out of time. Thank you very much for being with us. I learned a lot. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, Will.
And thank you, folks, for joining us. We know you have choices, so thanks for choosing us. I'm Will Michael, inviting you to join us back here each weekday afternoon for another visit across the fence.